It started with a post-it note. Not a fight. Not a teary confession. Just a little yellow square, stuck to my monitor like it belonged there. Babe, can you help with my resume tonight? Love you. She drew a little heart. The night before, she had been curled into me on the couch, her legs tangled in mine, our favorite show playing in the background. She'd laughed at something I said, a real laugh, I thought, and kissed my cheek like we were still us. Like nothing had changed. But something had. Something I couldn't name yet. You know that feeling when you walk into your house and something's just off? Nothing missing, nothing broken. Just a shift in the air, a faint wrongness. That's what it was like living with Hannah these last few months. I couldn't pin it down. Just knew something was slipping, quietly, behind my back. And still, I sat down to help her with that resume. She was angling for a new position at her firm, a management role. More visibility, more pay, more pressure. I was proud of her. I'd watched her claw her way up from an admin role in a company that barely acknowledged her nameplate. She'd made something of herself. So when she asked me for help, of course I said yes. I've always been the words guy. English major, freelance copywriter, the boring but reliable support beam to her rocket ship of ambition. Just punch it up a bit, she said that night. Make me sound, I don't know, like a badass. She smiled. I smiled back. Maybe that post, it wasn't just an ask. Maybe it was an invitation. A way to reconnect. We worked on it for hours. Tightened up the formatting. Swapped out buzzwords. Polished the job descriptions until she beamed at the screen. She kissed my neck and whispered, "You're the best." Then went to bed early. I stayed up. Not working. Just staring at the document. Something about it gnawed at me. It wasn't the resume itself. It was what wasn't in it. A gap. 2 months in early spring, where there should have been work. I remembered those months vividly because they were awful. We were barely talking. She said she was burned out. Took a sabbatical. Stayed late at yoga. Out on hikes. Saw old friends. Things she never invited me to. My hands hovered over the keyboard. I thought about those nights I ate alone. The mornings she left without saying goodbye. I thought about the coworker I'd met at a company barbecue. Slick hair, too friendly grin, the way his hand lingered on her lower back. I opened her old iCloud backup. She'd given me the password ages ago, for safekeeping. In case I die, she'd joked. Part of me didn't want to look. The smarter part looked anyway. Photos. Lots of them. None of me. Hotel rooms. Rooftop bars. A weekend cabin in Tahoe she said she'd visited with college friends. But there he was. That coworker. And another. And another. 3 men. Across 2 months. Same smirk on her face in every shot. I remember blinking at the screen, not angry. Not yet. Just stunned. She had been cheating. Repeatedly. Carefully. With men who sat next to her at staff meetings. Who clinked glasses with me at company events. Who knew my name. She came downstairs the next morning in a towel, hair wet from the shower, and asked, "Did you finish the resume?" I nodded. I couldn't speak. Because something in me had snapped. Not with rage, but with clarity. That night, when she went out for drinks with a mentor, I made a few edits. Just one sentence, really. Hidden at the bottom, in pale gray font, tucked beneath skills. Cheated on fiancé with 3 coworkers. Led deception initiatives across multiple quarters. Then I saved it. Attached it to a fresh email. Subject, team update, Hannah's promotion materials. I sent it to her entire division. Managers. HR. Her team. Her rivals. Then I closed the laptop, stood up, and made dinner. I didn't wait for the fallout. I didn't need to. By 9:43 p.m., her phone started lighting up. Texts. Calls. Slack pings. I watched her pick it up, brows furrowing, confusion spreading into panic. Did you touch my resume?" she asked, voice tight. I looked at her, really looked at her, and said calmly, "You asked for help." That's when it hit her. That I knew. That the game was up. She stared at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. Because the man she thought would always absorb the betrayal, the man who once waited with flowers while she worked late, was gone. Replaced by someone colder. Someone finished. She opened her laptop. Read the email. Her mouth fell open. Oh my God. I didn't answer. I was already clearing my plate. And that was only the beginning. She didn't cry right away. That surprised me, honestly. I expected the waterworks, the denial, the gaslighting, the panicked reach for pity. But she just stood there, blinking at the screen like the words might rearrange themselves, like reality could still be negotiated. Then she whispered, "What did you do?" I stayed quiet. Not because I wanted to be cruel, because I didn't trust myself to speak. I'd spent months silencing suspicion, swallowing doubt. Now that everything had ruptured, I wasn't sure what would pour out if I opened my mouth. She spun the laptop toward me. "You sent this to everyone?" I nodded once. Her voice broke then, cracked glass trying to sound intact. "You've humiliated me." And that was the first time I felt anger. Not when I found the pictures, not when I connected the timelines, but in that moment, hearing her use the word humiliated like she was the one betrayed. I didn't explode. I just said, "You did that part yourself." Her phone rang again. I caught the name on the screen, Lauren K. Her direct report. Probably the one who would want her job now. The one she used to say was too timid to ever compete. The call went to voicemail. Then another came in. Then another. I stood, walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water. She followed. "This was private," she hissed. "This was our relationship, our business. You crossed a line." I turned slowly. "You crossed 3 offices." That shut her up for a second. Her shoulders slumped. Her voice dropped to something softer, the version she used when she wanted to pull me back in. "Can we just talk about this? Please. Let's go upstairs. Let's figure it out. I made mistakes. I know. But you can't. This can't be the way we end." I stared at her. This woman I used to plan anniversaries for. Surprise weekends. Little notes on her dashboard, just because. "Did you ever think we might end?" I asked. She looked confused. "I mean before all of this. Before the lying. Before you gave yourself to everyone but me. Did you ever think, what if this breaks him?" Her eyes welled up. That's when I realized she hadn't thought about that. Not really. Her guilt wasn't for the pain she caused. It was for the consequences. She tried again. I was overwhelmed. It got complicated. I didn't know how to stop. "But I love you." "No, you don't," I cut in. Calm. Final. "You loved what I gave you. Stability. Unconditional support. A clean home. A partner who always said yes. You didn't love me. You used me." She flinched like I slapped her. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't throw anything. But I did open the hall closet, pull down the duffel bag I kept for travel, and started packing. Her hands trembled. "Where are you going?" "Someplace quiet," I said. "Someplace honest." Her facade cracked further. "You're just leaving?" I zipped the bag. "You already did." She stood in the doorway as I moved room to room. Not begging. Not yelling. Just stunned. The way people get when they finally realize they're not holding all the cards. By the time I reached the door, she said one last thing, a whisper, almost childlike. "You didn't have to ruin my career." I paused, then turned. "You ruined the relationship. The career came with it." And with that, I stepped outside. The night air hit like a reset button. Crisp. Empty. Honest. For the first time in a year, I wasn't walking on eggshells. I wasn't second-guessing myself. I was just breathing. I didn't know exactly where I'd go. A hotel. A friend's couch. Somewhere temporary. But I knew what came next, and it wouldn't involve lies, gaslighting, or pretending everything was fine while dying inside. I checked my phone as I walked. One email reply had already come in. From her boss. Simple. Brutal. "Thanks for the heads up. The truth has a way of cutting through noise." And hers was about to get very, very loud. I stayed at a cheap extended stay off the highway. Not glamorous. Plastic-wrapped cups and thin towels. But it had 2 things I needed: distance and silence. No more laughter that didn't reach her eyes. No more forgotten date nights. No more pretending I didn't notice the way she always turned her phone over, screen down. The first morning I woke up alone, I felt it, that ache. Not anger. Not regret. Just the hollow absence where something used to be. Something I had believed in. Maybe even needed. I made coffee, sat on the little balcony, and watched the sun burn through October fog. My phone buzzed. Not hers. Not the guy she cheated with. Just my buddy James. He didn't ask questions. Just sent. Heard. "Proud of you. Let me know when you want to grab a beer." I didn't realize how much I needed that. Back home, or rather, the place I used to call home, the fallout was still blooming. I heard from a friend inside her company that HR had launched an internal ethics review. Turns out when 3 coworkers are involved in a romantic web with a single person, one of them a direct report, it doesn't look great to the board. She tried to claim it was a smear, that I faked it. But screenshots don't lie. Metadata doesn't lie. Her own calendar didn't lie. The resume I sent. It wasn't doctored beyond that one line, but it was enough. Enough to spark questions. Enough to make the firm freeze her promotion. Enough to make at least one of her partners confess during an internal interview. One of them, the married guy, Derek, was put on leave. Another was reassigned. The third, quietly let go. She was asked to take personal time while they evaluated next steps. I didn't smile when I heard. I didn't fist pump or post cryptic tweets. I just nodded. Actions have ripples. Some take time to reach the shore. A week after I left, she showed up at the hotel. I was downstairs getting ice when I saw her through the glass doors. No makeup, sweatshirt half zipped, like she had thrown herself together in panic. "Can we talk?" she asked. I nodded. I don't know why. Maybe part of me needed to hear whatever truth she thought she could finally offer. We sat on a bench out front. A family walked past with a golden retriever. The world kept spinning. "I lost everything," she said, voice small. "You didn't lose it," I replied. "You gave it away." Tears welled up, but I didn't comfort her. Not out of spite, just clarity. Her pain didn't belong to me anymore. "I thought I could control it," she said. "The lies. The lines. I told myself it didn't mean anything. Then why hide it?" She looked at me like she didn't have an answer. Because she didn't. I let her sit in the silence. That's something I'd learned. You don't have to fill every gap. Sometimes, silence is the most honest thing you can offer. "I know you'll never forgive me," she whispered. And here's the thing. I didn't know how to respond to that. Because forgiveness, in the way she meant it, was off the table. But I wasn't carrying hate. "No," I said. "I won't forget. But I'm not here to punish you." She looked at me then. Really looked. "I just wanted to matter," she said. "To someone." I stood. Shouldered my bag. "You did. But you didn't value it." She started to cry. I walked away. Not angry. Not victorious. Just free. In the months that followed, I rebuilt. New apartment. New routines. I took up photography again. Started freelancing more seriously. Wrote a blog post about deception anonymously. It went viral. People resonated with it. Not because of the drama, but because of the quiet truth behind it. That betrayal doesn't always arrive with a bang. Sometimes it's a whisper. A pattern. A slow erosion. And when people asked me about what happened with her, I didn't go into details. I just said, she asked me to help her tell her story. So I did. And let them wonder. Let the silence speak. Because in the end, the loudest thing I ever said was the truth.